The commanding officer's words cut through the briefing room like a knife. Rodriguez, you're better suited for serving coffee at 30,000 feet than flying at it. 3 years later, Captain Sofia Rodriguez would become the first woman to wear the coveted silver wings of the Air Force's most elite aerobatic squadron. But the path to that moment would test every ounce of determination she possessed. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Sofia Rodriguez had always felt the pull of the sky. Growing up in a small town outside Phoenix, she would spend hours watching the contrails of military jets streak across the desert horizon, dreaming of the day she might pilot one of those magnificent machines. Her father, a mechanic at the local airport, had taught her everything about aircraft engines before she could even drive a car. Her mother, a former airline flight attendant, had filled her head with stories of travel and adventure above the clouds. When Sofia graduated high school in 2018, she faced a choice that would define her future. The family's financial situation made college seem impossible without significant debt. The military offered a way out, a chance to serve her country while pursuing her aviation dreams. She enlisted in the Air Force with one clear goal: becoming a pilot. Basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas proved challenging but manageable. Sofia's athletic background from high school track and field served her well during the physical demands. Her real strength, however, emerged during the technical portions of training. She absorbed aircraft systems knowledge like a sponge, consistently scoring in the top 5% of her class on written examinations. The trouble began during her first assignment at McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas. Sofia had been assigned to work as a flight attendant on military transport aircraft while awaiting her slot in pilot training. The position, officially called loadmaster, involved managing cargo and passenger safety on large transport planes. It was important work, but Sofia viewed it as a stepping stone to her ultimate goal. Her supervisor, Master Sergeant Blake Morrison, had different ideas. Morrison was a career enlisted man who had spent 15 years working his way up through the Air Force hierarchy. He believed in maintaining traditional roles and saw Sofia's pilot ambitions as unrealistic dreaming. Rodriguez, Morrison told her during their first meeting, "I've seen dozens of young airmen come through here with stars in their eyes about flying fighters. The reality is different. You're good at this job. Flight attendant work is respectable, stable, and you're already showing aptitude for it. My advice, stick to what you're good at." Sofia's jaw tightened, but she maintained her composure. "With respect, Sergeant, I enlisted specifically to become a pilot. This is temporary duty until my training slot opens up." Morrison's expression hardened. "Your pilot training slot? Do you have any idea how competitive those positions are? The washout rate? Even if you get selected, which is a big if, most people don't make it through. And fighter pilot positions for women, even rarer." The conversation set the tone for the next 18 months. Sofia threw herself into her loadmaster duties with professional excellence, but every day felt like treading water. She studied flight manuals in her spare time, practiced radio procedures, and maintained her physical fitness at peak levels. Yet Morrison seemed determined to convince her that she was wasting her time. The breaking point came during a routine training exercise in early 2020. Sofia was managing cargo loading on a C-130 Hercules when she noticed an irregularity in the weight distribution calculations. The numbers didn't match what she was seeing on the load plan. After double-checking her math, she realized the error could cause serious stability issues during flight. She immediately reported the discrepancy to Morrison, who dismissed her concerns without investigation. "Rodriguez, you're overthinking this. The load planners know what they're doing. Just follow the paperwork." Sofia knew she couldn't let it go. She approached the aircraft commander directly, Captain Jennifer Walsh, and presented her findings. Walsh reviewed the calculations and confirmed Sofia's assessment. The cargo had to be redistributed, delaying the mission by 2 hours, but potentially saving lives. Instead of praise, Sofia found herself called into Morrison's office the following day. "Rodriguez, you went over my head yesterday. That's not how the chain of command works. Maybe you think you're smarter than everyone else, but insubordination won't get you far in this Air Force. Sergeant, I followed proper safety procedures. The load was dangerous. The load was fine. You created a problem where none existed because you want to play pilot. Here's reality. You're a loadmaster, a flight attendant essentially. That's what you signed up for when you took this position. My recommendation is that you focus on doing that job well instead of fantasizing about something that's never going to happen. Sophia felt something snap inside her chest. The dismissive tone, the casual destruction of her dreams, the reduction of her carefully calculated safety concern to fantasizing, it was too much. Never going to happen, Sergeant? That's right, Rodriguez. Look, I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm being realistic. You're good at this job. Flight attendant work might not be glamorous, but it's honest work. Some people are meant to fly the planes, and others are meant to take care of the passengers. Know your place. That night, Sophia sat in her small base housing unit and stared at the acceptance letter that had arrived in her mailbox 3 days earlier. Her pilot training slot had finally come through. She had been selected for undergraduate pilot training at Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi, starting in 6 months. She hadn't told Morrison yet. Part of her had been afraid to believe it was real, afraid that somehow it would be taken away. But now, holding the letter in her hands while Morrison's words echoed in her head, she felt a fierce determination crystallize in her chest. Sophia pulled out her laptop and began researching everything she could find about the training program ahead. She wasn't just going to attend pilot training, she was going to excel. She was going to prove that Morrison's limited vision of her potential was wrong. More than that, she was going to aim for the very top of military aviation. Fighter jets weren't enough. She wanted the most elite position possible. The Thunderbirds, the Air Force's premier aerobatic demonstration squadron. Only the absolute best pilots were ever selected, and no woman had ever worn those distinctive red, white, and blue flight suits. As she studied late into the night, Sophia made herself a promise. She would remember Morrison's words about knowing her place. And when she was performing aerobatic maneuvers in front of thousands of spectators as the first female Thunderbird pilot, she would know exactly where her place was. In the cockpit of the most advanced fighter aircraft in the world, representing the very best of the United States Air Force. The journey ahead would test her in ways she couldn't yet imagine. But Sophia Rodriguez was ready to prove that some people are meant for extraordinary things, regardless of what others believe about their place in the world. Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi felt like stepping into a different universe. The moment Sophia arrived for undergraduate pilot training in August 2020, she could sense the electricity in the air. T-6 Texan II aircraft lined the flight line, their propellers gleaming in the humid southern sun. This wasn't transport duty anymore. This was where pilots were forged. The first shock came during in-processing. Out of 63 students in her class, only 8 were women. Sophia had expected to be a minority, but seeing the stark numbers made the challenge ahead feel even more daunting. The second shock came when she met her primary flight instructor. Captain Marcus Chen had the reputation of being one of the toughest instructors at Columbus. A former F-16 pilot with combat experience in Afghanistan, Chen pushed his students harder than most. During their initial meeting, he studied Sophia's file with an unreadable expression. "Rodriguez, I see you've been working on transport aircraft. That's good experience. With military aviation procedures, but forget everything you think you know about flying. We're starting from zero." The academic phase proved brutal. 12-hour days became the norm as Sophia absorbed aerodynamics, weather theory, aircraft systems, and federal aviation regulations. The material was dense and unforgiving. One failed exam meant removal from the program. Sophia established a study routine that began at 04:30 and ended near midnight, fueled by coffee and sheer determination. Her first time in the cockpit of a T-6 revealed just how different military pilot training would be from her loadmaster experience. The aircraft responded to everything with precision, but the complexity was overwhelming. Radio calls, instrument monitoring, navigation, and basic flight control had to become second nature while maintaining perfect situational awareness. Captain Chen proved as demanding as advertised. During her third flight, Sophia struggled with a landing approach, coming in too high and fast. Instead of the verbal correction she expected, Chen took control and executed a perfect go-around. Rodriguez, indecision kills pilots. Either commit to the landing or execute a go-around immediately. Hesitation isn't an option when you're flying military aircraft. The washout rate was merciless. By the end of the first month, 12 students had been eliminated. Sophia watched classmates pack their belongings and disappear, knowing their aviation dreams had ended. The pressure was constant and unrelenting. Her breakthrough came during formation flying training. The exercise required maintaining precise position relative to another aircraft while executing complex maneuvers. Many students struggled with the spatial awareness and stick and rudder skills required. Sophia discovered she had an intuitive feel for the aircraft's responses and could maintain formation even during challenging maneuvers. "Better," Chen commented after a particularly difficult formation exercise, "you're starting to think like the aircraft instead of fighting it." The compliment, small as it was, felt like validation after weeks of grinding effort. Sophia began to find her rhythm in the cockpit, her confidence growing with each successful flight. Her academic scores remained in the top 10% of her class, and her flight performance steadily improved. The real test came during solo cross-country flights. Students were required to navigate to distant airfields using only basic instruments and radio navigation aids, demonstrating their ability to handle unexpected situations independently. Sophia's assigned route took her from Columbus to Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama, then to Meridian Naval Air Station before returning home. The weather was marginal, scattered clouds and occasional rain showers that reduced visibility. Halfway to Maxwell, Sophia encountered an equipment malfunction. Her primary radio failed, leaving her unable to communicate with air traffic control. Protocol required declaring an emergency and landing immediately at the nearest suitable airfield. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Instead of panicking, Sophia methodically worked through her emergency procedures. She switched to backup radio systems, established communication with nearby aircraft to relay her situation, and executed a flawless emergency landing at a civilian airport in central Alabama. The entire sequence demonstrated exactly the kind of judgment and airmanship that separated successful military pilots from those who washed out. Captain Chen's debrief was characteristically brief. Professional handling of an emergency situation, that's what we're looking for. As the training progressed through instrument flying and eventually to basic fighter maneuvers, Sophia consistently performed in the top tier of her class. Her scores qualified her for any aircraft assignment in the Air Force inventory. But Sophia had set her sights on something specific. Fighter track selection occurred during the 8th month of training. Only the top performers were eligible, and competition was fierce. Out of the original 63 students, only 18 remained, and only 12 fighter slots were available. The selection process included performance reviews, psychological evaluations, and interviews with senior officers. Sophia found herself sitting across from Colonel Patricia Williams, the base commander and a former F-22 pilot, one of the few women to have flown the Air Force's most advanced fighter. "Rodriguez, your performance has been exceptional. Top 5 in academics, top 3 in flight performance. Your instructors speak highly of your decision-making and airmanship. Why fighters?" Sophia had rehearsed this answer countless times, but sitting in front of Colonel Williams, she decided on complete honesty. "Ma'am, I want to serve at the highest level possible. Fighter aircraft represent the pinnacle of military aviation. I believe I have the skills and temperament to excel in that environment, and I want to contribute to national defense in the most challenging role available." The F-16 is a demanding aircraft, Rodriguez. The training is even more demanding than what you've experienced here. Most importantly, you'll be joining a community where you'll be one of very few women. Are you prepared for that reality? Yes, ma'am. I've been a minority in every assignment I've had. I'm prepared to earn my place through performance, not politics. Colonel Williams nodded slowly. Your record suggests you have the right attitude. But I want you to understand something about fighter aviation. It's not just about flying fast jets. It's about being part of a warrior culture that dates back generations. Some people will question whether you belong. Some will actively work against your success. Are you prepared for that level of scrutiny and opposition? Sophia thought about Morrison's dismissive comments, about the loadmaster assignment she'd fought to escape, about every person who had suggested she should settle for less than her dreams. Ma'am, I've been dealing with that level of scrutiny my entire military career. I'm ready to prove myself wherever the Air Force sends me. 3 days later, the assignments were posted. Sophia Rodriguez, F-16 Fighting Falcon, Luke Air Force Base, Arizona. Standing in front of the assignment board, Sophia felt a mixture of elation and trepidation. She had achieved her primary goal, fighter pilot training. But this was just the beginning. The fighter training unit would make UPT look like an elementary school. And beyond that lay an even greater challenge, her secret ambition to become the first woman selected for the Thunderbirds. As she packed her belongings for the move to Arizona, Sophia reflected on how far she had come from her days as a loadmaster. Morrison's words about knowing her place seemed like an echo from another lifetime. She had found her place, in the cockpit of America's most capable fighter aircraft, ready to defend her country at the highest levels of military aviation. The real test was just beginning. Luke Air Force Base in Arizona transformed Sophia's understanding of what it meant to be a military pilot. The desert facility housed the world's largest F-16 training operation, and the sound of afterburners echoed across the base from sunrise to sunset. Walking onto the flight line for the first time, Sophia felt the raw power of the Fighting Falcons lined up in perfect rows, their gray exteriors gleaming under the intense Arizona sun. The fighter training unit operated under different rules than undergraduate pilot training. Here, the margin for error was virtually non-existent. A single mistake could result in immediate elimination, and the psychological pressure was designed to break anyone who lacked absolute commitment to excellence. Sophia's flight commander was Major Rebecca Torres, a seasoned X-16 pilot with 2 combat deployments and a reputation for producing exceptional graduates. During Sophia's initial briefing, Torres made the stakes crystal clear. Lieutenant Rodriguez, you've proven you can fly. Now we determine if you can fight. This isn't about stick and rudder skills anymore. We're building tactical fighter pilots who can survive and win in combat. The aircraft will try to kill you, the enemy will try to kill you, and sometimes the mission itself will try to kill you. My job is to prepare you for all 3 scenarios. The F-16 Fighting Falcon proved to be everything Sophia had imagined and more. The single-engine fighter was a marvel of engineering, capable of pulling 9 times the force of gravity, flying at twice the speed of sound, and delivering precision weapons with surgical accuracy. But mastering the aircraft required a complete rewiring of how Sophia thought about flying. Her first sortie nearly ended in disaster. The F-16's fly-by-wire control system responded differently than any aircraft she had previously flown. During a simple banking maneuver, Sophia over-controlled the stick, sending the aircraft into an uncommanded roll. Only quick intervention from her instructor pilot in the rear seat prevented a more serious incident. Rodriguez, the Viper doesn't forgive ham-fisted inputs, Major Torres explained during the post-flight debrief. This aircraft will amplify every mistake you make. Smooth, deliberate control inputs. Think before you act, then act decisively. The learning curve was steep and unforgiving. Sophia struggled with weapon systems integration, air-to-air combat maneuvering, and the complex tactical procedures that governed modern fighter operations. Each flight revealed new challenges and exposed gaps in her knowledge that required hours of additional study. Her lowest point came during basic fighter maneuvers training. Sophia found herself consistently defeated in dogfight scenarios, unable to effectively employ the F-16's capabilities against opposing aircraft. After a particularly frustrating training session where she failed to achieve a single successful engagement, Major Torres pulled her aside. "Rodriguez, you're thinking like a transport pilot in a fighter pilot's world. You're trying to be perfect instead of being aggressive. Fighter aviation isn't about avoiding mistakes, it's about making decisions faster than your opponent and accepting calculated risks." The criticism stung because Sophia recognized its accuracy. Years of transport flying had conditioned her to prioritize safety and procedural compliance above all else. Fighter tactics required a completely different mindset, one that embraced controlled aggression and split-second decision-making under extreme stress. Sophia threw herself into additional training with renewed intensity. She spent hours in flight simulators, practiced air combat maneuvers until the procedures became instinctive, and studied combat tactics used by successful fighter pilots throughout history. Gradually, her performance began to improve. The breakthrough came during a complex air-to-ground training mission. Sophia was tasked with delivering precision-guided munitions against simulated enemy positions while defending against surface-to-air missile threats. The scenario required rapid transitions between air-to-ground attack and air-to-air defensive maneuvering. As Sophia approached the target area, her radar warning receiver lit up with multiple surface-to-air missile launches. Instead of aborting the attack, as many students did when faced with overwhelming threats, Sophia executed a series of defensive maneuvers while maintaining her attack geometry. She successfully delivered her weapons on target, defeated the missile threats, and egressed the area without taking simulated damage. "Now you're thinking like a fighter pilot," Major Torres commented during the debrief. "You assessed the threats, accepted the risks, and completed the mission. That's what separates fighter pilots from everyone else." Sophia's confidence grew with each successful mission. She began to excel in air-to-air combat, developing an intuitive understanding of energy management and tactical geometry that allowed her to consistently defeat opposing aircraft. Her weapons employment scores ranked among the top in her class, and her tactical decision-making earned praise from instructors. But success in the fighter training unit came with an unexpected consequence. Sophia began hearing rumors about her ultimate career goals. Word had spread that she harbored ambitions beyond standard fighter pilot assignments. Some classmates viewed her aspirations as unrealistic, others saw them as threatening to traditional career progression patterns. The tension came to a head during a casual conversation in the squadron ready room. Captain Jake Morrison, no relation to her former supervisor but equally dismissive of non-traditional career paths, made his opinion clear. "Rodriguez, I hear you're thinking about applying for demonstration teams when you graduate. Maybe focus on becoming a competent wingman before you start dreaming about air shows. The Thunderbirds aren't looking for social experiments." Sophia felt familiar anger rising in her chest, but her response was measured and professional. "Captain Morrison, my focus is on excelling in this training program. Future assignments will take care of themselves based on performance." "Performance?" Morrison laughed. "You think performance is all that matters? Demonstration flying is about representing the Air Force to the American people. They want pilots who embody traditional military values, not diversity checkboxes." Before Sophia could respond, Major Torres entered the ready room. The conversation immediately ceased, but the tension remained palpable. Torres had clearly heard enough to understand the situation. "Gentlemen, ladies, I suggest you focus your energy on mastering your current assignments rather than speculating about future ones. Lieutenant Rodriguez, a word." In her office, Major Torres closed the door and studied Sophia carefully. "I assume you're aware that your career aspirations have become a topic of conversation." "Yes, ma'am. I'm trying not to let it affect my performance."
Good. Here's what you need to understand about fighter aviation. Politics exist, and they matter, but they matter less than results. The Thunderbirds select pilots based on flying ability, leadership potential, and the capacity to represent the Air Force with distinction. If you want that opportunity, you need to be undeniably excellent at everything you do. Torres paused, then continued. I flew with the first generation of women in fighter aircraft. We faced skepticism, hostility, and constant scrutiny. The ones who succeeded did so by being better than good enough. They were exceptional. Are you prepared to meet that standard? Sophia met her commander's gaze without hesitation. Yes, ma'am, that's exactly what I'm prepared to do. Then prove it. Graduate at the top of your class. Excel in your operational assignment. Build a reputation based on competence and professionalism. When the time comes to apply for special programs, let your record speak for itself. As the fighter training unit approached its conclusion, Sophia found herself ranked second in her class of 24 students. Her tactical flying scores were among the highest recorded in recent years, and her weapons employment accuracy exceeded program standards. More importantly, she had earned the respect of instructors who initially questioned whether she belonged in fighter aircraft. The graduation ceremony felt like both an ending and a beginning. Sophia had achieved her goal of becoming a fighter pilot, but she knew the real test lay ahead. Operational assignments would determine whether she could translate training success into combat-ready capability. Standing on the flight line after her final training sortie, Sophia looked up at the Arizona sky where she had learned to fight and win. Morrison's words about flight attendant work seemed like ancient history. She had found her place in the cockpit of America's premier fighter aircraft. But her ultimate destination remained ahead: the red, white, and blue jets of the Air Force Thunderbirds, and the chance to become the first woman to wear their distinctive uniform while representing the very best of American military aviation. Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina became Sophia's proving ground as an operational F-16 pilot. The 20th Fighter Wing operated under the call sign Silver Bullets, and their mission was anything but ceremonial. This was a combat-ready unit with real-world deployment obligations and zero tolerance for anything less than mission-ready performance. Sophia's squadron commander, Lieutenant Colonel David Harrison, had flown combat missions over Iraq and Syria. During her initial check-in, he made his expectations brutally clear. "Rodriguez, your training records are impressive, but this isn't training anymore. We deploy to combat zones. We execute real missions against real threats. Your wingman's life depends on your competence, and vice versa. Are you ready for that level of responsibility?" "Absolutely, sir." "We'll see. Your upgrade training starts tomorrow. You have 6 months to prove you can handle every mission in our portfolio: air-to-air, air-to-ground, close air support, and suppression of enemy air defenses. Failure isn't an option." The operational F-16 proved vastly more complex than the training aircraft Sophia had flown at Luke. Advanced radar systems, electronic warfare equipment, and precision weapons integration required mastering dozens of new procedures. The learning curve was made steeper by the squadron's demanding operational tempo: 12-hour shifts, night flying, and constant readiness exercises. Sophia's first major test came during Red Flag, the Air Force's premier combat training exercise at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. Red Flag simulated large-scale air warfare with hundreds of aircraft, surface-to-air missile threats, and complex tactical scenarios designed to replicate real combat conditions. Flying as wingman to Captain Lisa Park, an experienced pilot with 2 combat deployments, Sophia found herself thrust into the most challenging flying of her career. The exercise scenarios were deliberately overwhelming: multiple threats, communications jamming, and time-critical target engagement requirements. During the 3rd day of exercises, Sophia's flight was tasked with suppressing enemy air defenses in preparation for a larger strike package. The mission required precise coordination between multiple aircraft while operating in heavily defended airspace. As Sophia approached her assigned target area, her radar warning receiver detected multiple surface-to-air missile systems tracking her aircraft. Instead of the textbook defensive maneuvers she had practiced in training, Sophia improvised a low-altitude approach that used terrain masking to avoid detection. She successfully delivered her AGM-88 HARM missiles against the radar sites, clearing the way for follow-on strikes. The mission was a complete success. Captain Park's debrief was characteristically direct. "Rodriguez, that wasn't the approach we briefed, but it was effective. You demonstrated tactical flexibility under pressure. That's what we need in combat." Red flag became Sophia's breakthrough moment. Over 10 days of intensive combat training, she consistently demonstrated the tactical acumen and technical proficiency that separated competent pilots from exceptional ones. Her performance caught the attention of senior officers from across the Air Force, including Colonel Jennifer Walsh, the same pilot who had validated Sophia's safety concerns years earlier as a loadmaster. Lieutenant Rodriguez, Colonel Walsh approached her after the final red flag debrief. "I remember you from McConnell. You've come a long way from cargo loading."
Thank you, ma'am. It's been quite a journey. I'm sure it has. I wanted you to know that your performance here has been noted at very senior levels. Keep excelling, and opportunities will present themselves. Sophia returned to Shaw with new confidence and a growing reputation. Her squadron mates had witnessed her capabilities firsthand, and the skepticism she had faced as a new pilot gradually transformed into professional respect. She was selected for increasingly challenging missions and leadership roles within the squadron. The real validation came 6 months later when Sophia was chosen as one of 4 pilots to represent the 20th Fighter Wing at the William Tell competition, the Air Force's premier air-to-air weapons meet. The competition brought together the best fighter pilots from across the service to demonstrate precision weapons employment and tactical flying skills. William Tell was held at Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, and the competition was fierce. Sophia found herself competing against pilots with years of combat experience and multiple deployments. The pressure was intense. Every missile shot, every tactical maneuver, and every decision was scored and analyzed. Sophia's specialty became beyond visual range air-to-air engagements using the AIM-120 AMRAAM missile. The scenarios required detecting, tracking, and engaging multiple targets while managing defensive threats and coordinating with other aircraft. Sophia's performance was flawless. She achieved direct hits on all assigned targets while maintaining perfect tactical positioning. The competition culminated in a complex multi-threat scenario that tested every aspect of fighter pilot skills. Sophia was required to engage air-to-air threats, suppress ground-based air defenses, and deliver precision weapons against high-value targets, all while operating in simulated electronic warfare conditions. As Sophia approached the target area, her aircraft systems were degraded by electronic jamming. Her radar was partially blinded, communications were intermittent, and navigation systems were unreliable. Instead of aborting the mission, Sophia used manual flying skills and backup systems to complete all assigned objectives. Her performance earned the highest individual score recorded at William Tell in over 5 years. More importantly, it established Sophia as one of the Air Force's most capable young fighter pilots. The recognition brought unexpected consequences. Sophia began receiving inquiries about her career plans from senior officers and assignment teams. The Thunderbirds recruiting team had taken notice of her exceptional performance record, but so had other elite organizations. Colonel Harrison called Sophia into his office 6 weeks after William Tell. "Rodriguez, I've been contacted by multiple agencies interested in your services. The weapons school wants you for their instructor program. Test pilot school has expressed interest, and yes, the Thunderbirds have inquired about your availability." Sophia felt her pulse quicken. "Sir, what are the timelines?" "Various, but here's what you need to understand. Each path requires different preparation. Weapons school emphasizes tactical expertise and instruction. Test pilot school focuses on engineering and developmental flying. The Thunderbirds need precision formation flying and public representation skills." Harrison leaned back in his chair. "My recommendation? Choose the path that aligns with your ultimate career goals. But whatever you choose, you need to start preparing now. These opportunities don't wait for anyone." That evening, Sophia called her parents for the first time in months. Her father answered with his characteristic enthusiasm. "Mija, how's my fighter pilot daughter?" "Good, Dad, really good. I wanted to tell you about some opportunities that are opening up." She explained the various options, carefully avoiding mention of her Thunderbird aspirations. Her parents had supported her through every challenge, but she wasn't ready to discuss her ultimate goal until she was certain it was achievable. Her mother's response was typically practical.
Whatever you choose, Sophia, make sure it's what you want, not what others expect of you. You've already proven you can do anything you set your mind to. That evening, Sophia sat in her base housing unit and considered her options. The weapons school represented the intellectual pinnacle of fighter aviation. Test pilot school offered cutting-edge technology and developmental flying. But the Thunderbirds represented something different: the chance to inspire others while demonstrating the very best of Air Force capability. Sophia made her decision. She would pursue the Thunderbirds with the same intensity that had carried her from loadmaster to elite fighter pilot. But first, she needed to master one more critical skill: precision formation flying at the level required by the Air Force's premier demonstration team. The next phase of her journey would test not just her flying abilities, but her capacity to perform flawlessly while representing the United States Air Force to millions of spectators. The margin for error would be smaller than anything she had faced, and the scrutiny would be unlike anything in her experience. But Sofia Rodriguez had never backed down from a challenge. She wasn't about to start now. The Thunderbird selection process began with a simple email that arrived on a Tuesday morning in September 2023. Sophia stared at the message from the Air Demonstration Squadron, her heart racing as she read the formal invitation to submit an application for the next selection cycle.
Captain Rodriguez, based on your exceptional performance record and recommendations from senior leadership, you are invited to apply for the United States Air Force Thunderbirds. Applications are due November 15th. Selection interviews will be conducted in January 2024. Sophia had been promoted to captain 6 months earlier, a testament to her rapid rise through the fighter pilot ranks. But the Thunderbirds represented an entirely different level of scrutiny and expectation. Only 12 pilots comprised the team at any given time, and selection happened just once every 2 years. Her first step was gathering the required documentation: performance evaluations, flight records, recommendation letters, and a detailed essay explaining her motivation for joining the team. More challenging was the requirement for formation flying experience beyond standard tactical training. Sophia approached Colonel Harrison about additional formation training opportunities. His response was characteristically direct. Rodriguez, Thunderbird-level formation flying is unlike anything in operational flying. We're talking about maintaining 18-inch separation at 400 miles per hour while executing complex maneuvers in front of crowds. One mistake kills not just you, but potentially your wingmen and innocent spectators. I understand the risks, sir. What training options are available? Harrison studied her for a long moment. There's a civilian formation team based in Pensacola, the Blue Angels' former pilots who train aspiring demonstration pilots. It's expensive, it's on your own time, and there's no guarantee it will help your application. But if you're serious about this path, it's your best option. Sophia spent her leave time and personal savings on intensive formation flying training in Florida. The civilian instructors, all former military demonstration pilots, pushed her through increasingly complex maneuvers that bore no resemblance to tactical flying. Formation aerobatics is about trust, precision, and absolute predictability, explained retired Navy Captain Tom Bradley, a former Blue Angels pilot. Your wingman has to know exactly where you'll be at every moment. Any deviation, any hesitation, any unpredictability creates a potentially fatal situation. The training was mentally and physically exhausting. Sophia learned to fly in formations so tight that wingtips seemed to overlap, to execute barrel rolls and loops while maintaining perfect position relative to other aircraft, and to perform these maneuvers while managing the extreme G-forces that accompany aerobatic flying. After 2 weeks of intensive training, Captain Bradley provided his assessment. Rodriguez, you have the natural ability and temperament for demonstration flying. Your precision is exceptional, and you respond well to the demands of close formation work. But understand, what we've done here is elementary compared to Thunderbird-level flying. Sophia returned to Shaw with new skills and growing confidence, but also a sobering understanding of the challenges ahead. She continued practicing formation techniques during routine training flights, often staying after scheduled missions to work on precision flying with volunteer wingmen.
Her application submission in November included letters of recommendation from every senior officer she had worked with, detailed accounts of her flying achievements, and a personal essay that carefully explained her motivation without revealing the full extent of her ambition. I seek to join the Thunderbirds because I believe in the power of inspiration through excellence, she wrote. Military aviation represents the pinnacle of human achievement in flight, and the opportunity to demonstrate that capability to the American people would be the greatest honor of my career. The waiting period proved agonizing. Sophia threw herself into her regular duties, leading training missions and mentoring younger pilots in her squadron. But privately, she counted the days until the selection results would be announced. The call came on a Friday afternoon in December. Sophia was reviewing mission planning materials when her phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. "Captain Rodriguez, this is Colonel Michael Stevens, Thunderbird's commander. Are you available to talk?" Sophia's hands trembled as she answered, "Yes, sir, absolutely." "Your application has been accepted for the interview phase. Can you be at Nellis Air Force Base on January 15th for a 3-day evaluation process?" "Yes, sir, I'll be there." "Outstanding. Captain Rodriguez, I want you to understand what you're walking into. This evaluation will test every aspect of your flying ability, leadership capacity, and personal character. We'll put you through scenarios designed to reveal how you perform under extreme pressure. Are you prepared for that level of scrutiny?" "I am, sir."
Good. One more thing. You should know that your application has generated significant interest at senior levels. There's awareness that you could potentially be the first woman selected for the team. That brings additional pressure and attention. Can you handle that reality? Sophia felt a familiar determination crystallized in her chest. "Sir, I've been dealing with additional pressure and attention my entire career. I'm ready to be evaluated solely on my capabilities and performance." "That's exactly what we want to hear. See you in January, Captain." After ending the call, Sophia sat in stunned silence. She had cleared the first hurdle, but the real challenge lay ahead. The Thunderbird's interview process was legendary for its intensity. 3 days of flying evaluations, psychological testing, leadership scenarios, and grueling interviews designed to identify any weakness in character or capability. Sophia began preparing immediately. She studied every available resource about Thunderbird operations, memorized the team's history and traditions, and practiced answers to potential interview questions. More importantly, she focused on maintaining peak physical and mental conditioning for the flying evaluations. Her squadron mates rallied around her preparation efforts. Captain Park, her former Red Flag wingman, volunteered to fly additional formation training missions. Other pilots shared their knowledge of demonstration flying techniques and offered advice about handling high-pressure evaluations. The support was overwhelming and unexpected. Sophia realized that her journey from loadmaster to fighter pilot had inspired others in ways she hadn't fully appreciated. She was no longer just pursuing her own dreams, she was carrying the hopes of everyone who had ever been told to settle for less than their aspirations. 2 weeks before the evaluation, Sophia received an unexpected visitor. Master Sergeant Morrison, her former supervisor from McConnell Air Force Base, appeared at her squadron building in dress uniform. Sophia was shocked to see him, uncertain how to react to the man who had once dismissed her pilot ambitions so completely. "Captain Rodriguez," Morrison said formally, "I requested permission to speak with you." "Of course, Sergeant. What can I do for you?" Morrison's expression was unreadable. "I heard about your Thunderbird selection. I owe you an apology and an explanation." Sophia remained silent, allowing him to continue. "When you were working for me, I thought I was protecting you from disappointment. I'd seen so many young airmen chase impossible dreams and get crushed when reality hit. I thought I was being realistic, maybe even kind, by encouraging you to focus on what seemed achievable." He paused, clearly struggling with his words. "I was wrong, not just about your capabilities, but about my role as a leader. I should have been supporting your aspirations, not limiting them. You've proven that some people really are capable of extraordinary things." Sophia felt a complex mixture of emotions: vindication, anger, and unexpected compassion for the man who had once been her biggest obstacle.
Sergeant Morrison, I appreciate you saying that. It couldn't have been easy to come here. It wasn't. But watching your career from a distance has taught me something important about leadership and potential. When you make the Thunderbirds, and I believe you will, remember that there are other young airmen out there who need someone to believe in their impossible dreams. After Morrison left, Sophia reflected on the unexpected encounter. Her journey had come full circle in ways she never could have anticipated. The man who had once represented her greatest opposition has become an unexpected source of validation and wisdom. The Thunderbird evaluation was just days away, but Sophia felt ready. She had proven herself at every level of military aviation, overcome obstacles that would have stopped most people, and earned the respect of peers and superiors through performance rather than politics. Standing on the Shaw flight line that evening, watching F-16s return from training missions, Sophia thought about the path that had brought her to this moment. From loadmaster to fighter pilot to Thunderbird candidate, it was a journey that had required everything she possessed and more. But she wasn't finished yet. The most challenging evaluation of her career awaited, and with it, the opportunity to achieve something that had never been done before. Sofia Rodriguez was ready to make history. Nellis Air Force Base in January felt like stepping into a pressure cooker. Sophia arrived on a Sunday evening to find 11 other candidates already settled into temporary quarters, each one a distinguished pilot with impressive credentials. The competition would be fierce. 2 F-22 pilots, 3 A-10 veterans with multiple combat deployments, 4 fellow F-16 pilots, and 2 F-15E Strike Eagle weapons systems officers. The first shock came during the initial briefing Monday morning. Colonel Stevens introduced the evaluation panel, 8 Thunderbird pilots, including current and former team members, along with senior Air Force leadership. The scrutiny would be unrelenting.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stevens announced, over the next 3 days, we will evaluate every aspect of your capabilities. Flying skills, leadership potential, public speaking ability, physical fitness, psychological resilience, and character under pressure. Only 4 of you will be selected to join the team. The evaluation began with comprehensive medical examinations designed to identify any condition that might affect performance during high-G aerobatis maneuvers. Sophia endured extensive cardiovascular testing, vision assessments, and neurological evaluations that pushed her physical limits. The psychological evaluation proved more challenging than anticipated. Dr. Amanda Chen, the team's consulting psychologist, conducted one-on-one interviews designed to reveal personality traits and stress responses. Captain Rodriguez, describe a situation where you failed to meet your own expectations. How did you handle failure, and what did you learn? Sophia had prepared for this type of question, but Dr. Chen's follow-up probes went deeper than expected, exploring her motivations, fears, and capacity to handle criticism. The session lasted 3 hours and left Sophia mentally exhausted. The flying evaluation dominated Tuesday. Each candidate would fly with current Thunderbird pilots in specially modified F-16s, demonstrating their ability to handle precision formation flying under increasingly demanding conditions. Sophia's first flight was with Major Kyle Thompson, Thunderbird No. 3, and a veteran of over 500 demonstration flights. The aircraft felt different from operational F-16s, lighter, more responsive, and equipped with specialized smoke systems for airshow demonstrations. Rodriguez, we're going to start with basic formation work and progress to demonstration-level maneuvers, Thompson explained during the pre-flight briefing. I want to see how quickly you adapt to close formation flying and how you handle the stress of maintaining position during aggressive maneuvering. The initial formation work felt familiar, standard tactical formations that Sophia had mastered years earlier. But as Thompson gradually reduced separation distances, the flying became increasingly demanding. By the end of the first sequence, Sophia was maintaining wingtip separation of less than 6 feet while executing complex turning maneuvers. Good adaptation, Thompson commented over the radio. Now we'll try some demonstration-level work. Follow me through this sequence and maintain position regardless of what happens. What followed was unlike anything Sophia had experienced. Thompson led her through barrel rolls, loops, and split S maneuvers while maintaining formation separations that would have been considered reckless in operational flying. The G-forces were extreme, the precision requirements absolute, and the margin for error non-existent. During a particularly challenging sequence involving a 4-point roll while maintaining inverted flight, Sophia felt her vision beginning to gray from the sustained G-forces. Instead of calling for a break in the maneuver, she adjusted her breathing technique and tightened her abdominal muscles to maintain consciousness while holding the perfect position. "Outstanding," Thompson said after they landed. "You demonstrated the precision and G-tolerance required for demonstration flying. More importantly, you maintained position even when the maneuvers became uncomfortable. That's exactly what we need." Wednesday brought the leadership evaluation, a series of scenarios designed to test decision-making under pressure and the ability to represent the Air Force in public settings. Sophia found herself role-playing interactions with civilians, handling simulated media interviews, and managing crisis situations that might arise during airshow operations. The most challenging scenario involved a simulated mechanical emergency during a demonstration flight with thousands of spectators watching. Sophia had to make split-second decisions about aircraft recovery while considering public safety, team member protection, and Air Force reputation. "Captain Rodriguez," the evaluator presented the scenario, "you're performing a demonstration routine when your aircraft experiences a hydraulic failure. You have partial control authority, there are 50,000 spectators below, and your wingman is flying 18 inches from your aircraft. What are your immediate actions?" Sophia's response was methodical and thorough. She prioritized aircraft control, communicated her situation to the team leader, established a safe separation from other aircraft, and executed emergency procedures while considering options for safe landing or ejection that would minimize risk to spectators. "Good prioritization," the evaluator noted. "Now, assume you've safely recovered the aircraft, but the incident was captured on video and is trending on social media with negative comments about Air Force safety. You're being interviewed by CNN in 30 minutes. How do you handle the situation?" Sophia drew on her years of military training and recent media preparation. She outlined a strategy that acknowledged the incident, emphasized safety protocols, highlighted the professionalism of the team's response, and reinforced public confidence in Air Force capabilities. The final evaluation component was public speaking. Each candidate delivered a 10-minute presentation about why they wanted to join the Thunderbirds, followed by questions from a panel that included not just military officers, but also civilian airshow organizers and media representatives.
Sophia's presentation focused on inspiration through excellence and the opportunity to demonstrate Air Force capabilities to the next generation of potential aviators. She spoke about her journey from loadmaster to fighter pilot, emphasizing the importance of perseverance and the role of mentorship in achieving seemingly impossible goals. The questions that followed were direct and challenging. "Captain Rodriguez, if selected, you would be the first woman to serve on the Thunderbirds. How do you plan to handle the additional scrutiny and media attention that status would bring?" "I plan to handle it the same way I've handled every other challenge in my career, by focusing on performance and professionalism. My goal is to be so good at what I do that my gender becomes irrelevant to the conversation. Some critics might argue that selecting you would be driven by politics rather than merit. How do you respond to that concern?" Sophia met the questioner's gaze directly. "I respond by pointing to my record. Every position I've held, every achievement I've earned, has been based on performance. I wouldn't want to be selected for any reason other than being the best candidate for the position." Thursday morning brought the final phase, individual meetings with Colonel Stevens and the team leadership. Sophia found herself sitting across from the commander in his office, trying to read his expression as he reviewed her evaluation results. "Captain Rodriguez, your performance over the past 3 days has been exceptional. Top scores in flying evaluation, outstanding leadership scenarios, and compelling public presentation. Your technical skills are exactly what we need for demonstration flying." Sophia felt her heart racing but maintained composure. "Thank you, sir. However," Stevens continued,
I need to ask you directly, are you prepared for what selection would mean? The media attention, the scrutiny, the pressure of being the first at everything you do. Some people thrive under that spotlight, others find it overwhelming. Sophia thought about her journey from McConnell Air Force Base, about Morrison's dismissive comments, about every obstacle she had overcome to reach this moment. Sir, I've been dealing with being the first or the only my entire career. The attention doesn't scare me. What motivates me is the opportunity to inspire other people who might be told their dreams are impossible. If I can show one young person that barriers can be overcome through hard work and determination, then any additional pressure is worth it. Stevens nodded slowly. That's exactly the attitude we're looking for. Captain Rodriguez, the selection results will be announced Friday afternoon. Thank you for an outstanding evaluation. As Sophia left the commander's office, she felt a mixture of exhaustion and anticipation. She had given everything she possessed during the 3-day evaluation. Her performance had been as good as she could possibly make it. Friday afternoon couldn't come soon enough. The culmination of her entire military career, from loadmaster to potential Thunderbird, would be decided in a few hours. Sophia Rodriguez was ready to learn whether her impossible dream was about to become reality. Friday afternoon at Nellis felt like an eternity compressed into minutes. The 12 candidates sat in a sterile conference room, each lost in their own thoughts, as they waited for Colonel Stevens to announce the selection results. Sophia's hands remained steady, but her mind raced through every moment of the past 3 days, analyzing each interaction for clues about her performance. At precisely 1400 hours, Colonel Stevens entered the room carrying a single manila folder. His expression revealed nothing as he took his position at the front of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, the past 3 days have demonstrated the exceptional caliber of pilots serving in today's Air Force. Every one of you has capabilities that would make you valuable additions to the Thunderbirds. Unfortunately, we have only 4 positions available. The silence in the room was absolute. Sophia could hear her own heartbeat as Stevens opened the folder. The following individuals have been selected to join the United States Air Force Thunderbirds for the 2024-2025 demonstration seasons. Major Robert Chen, F-22 pilot from Langley Air Force Base. The first name wasn't hers, but Sophia felt no disappointment. 3 positions remained. Captain James Mitchell, A-10 pilot from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. 2 positions left. Sophia's breathing remained controlled, but she felt the weight of the moment settling over her. Captain Lisa Park, F-15E Weapons Systems Officer from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Sophia's former Red Flag wingman had been selected. She felt genuine happiness for Park, but now only 1 position remained. Stevens paused, his eyes scanning the remaining candidates. Sophia met his gaze without flinching, drawing on every ounce of composure she had developed throughout her career. Captain Sophia Rodriguez, F-16 pilot from Shaw Air Force Base. The words hit Sophia like a physical force. She had done it. After years of being told to know her place, after countless obstacles and dismissive comments, she had achieved the impossible. She was going to be the first woman to wear the distinctive red, white, and blue uniform of the Air Force Thunderbirds. The room erupted in congratulations from the other candidates. Even those who hadn't been selected demonstrated the professionalism and camaraderie that defined Air Force culture. Sophia shook hands with her fellow selectees, but the reality hadn't fully settled in yet. Colonel Stevens approached her after the formal ceremony concluded. "Captain Rodriguez, congratulations. You earned this position through exceptional performance, and I have complete confidence in your abilities. But I want you to understand what happens next, sir. The moment this announcement goes public, you'll become the focus of national media attention. Your every action will be scrutinized. You'll be asked to represent not just the Thunderbirds, but women in military aviation. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Sophia thought about her journey from McConnell Air Force Base, about Master Sergeant Morrison's dismissive comments, about every person who had ever suggested she should settle for less than her dreams. "Sir, I've been preparing for this responsibility my entire career. I'm ready." The media announcement came within hours. Sophia's phone began ringing with calls from news organizations, military publications, and aviation enthusiasts. The Air Force Public Affairs Office had prepared talking points, but nothing could have fully prepared her for the intensity of public interest. The first major interview was with CNN's Pentagon correspondent. Sophia found herself sitting in a television studio wearing her dress blues with captain's bars gleaming under the studio lights. "Captain Rodriguez, you've just become the first woman selected for the Air Force Thunderbirds. What does this achievement mean to you?" Sophia had rehearsed variations of this answer, but in the moment she spoke from the heart. "It means that barriers can be overcome through dedication and performance. I hope my selection demonstrates to young people, especially young women, that there are no limits to what they can achieve if they're willing to work for it. But I also want to emphasize that this isn't about making a statement. It's about being the best possible pilot and representative of the United States Air Force. You started your Air Force career as a loadmaster, essentially a flight attendant on military aircraft. Did you ever imagine you'd reach this level of aviation excellence?" Sophia smiled, thinking about the irony of the question. "I always believed it was possible, even when others suggested I should limit my aspirations. The Air Force gave me opportunities to prove myself at every level, and I tried to make the most of those opportunities." The training pipeline for new Thunderbird pilots proved as demanding as advertised. Sophia reported to Nellis Air Force Base in March 2024 to begin 6 months of intensive preparation. The learning curve was steep, mastering demonstration maneuvers that pushed aircraft and pilots to their absolute limits, while maintaining the precision required for public performance. Her first flight in the distinctive red, white, and blue F-16 was emotional in ways she hadn't expected. As Sophia taxied onto the runway wearing the Thunderbird uniform that no woman had ever worn before, she thought about everyone who had contributed to this moment. Her parents who had supported her dreams, the instructors who had pushed her to excel, even Morrison who had ultimately taught her the importance of believing in herself. The formation flying required for Thunderbird demonstrations was unlike anything Sophia had experienced. Wingtip separation during maneuvers was measured in inches, not feet. G-forces during aerobatic sequences regularly exceeded 7 Gs, and the precision required was absolute. Thousands of spectators would be watching every performance, and any mistake could be fatal. Sophia's first public performance came during an air show at Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. As she walked to her aircraft, she noticed a young girl watching from behind the crowd barriers. The child couldn't have been more than 8 years old, but her eyes were fixed on Sophia with obvious fascination. Sophia made a detour to the barrier and knelt down to the girl's eye level. "Hi there, are you enjoying the air show?" The girl nodded enthusiastically. "Are you really going to fly that airplane?" "I am. What's your name?" "Emma. My mom says you're the first girl to fly with the Thunderbirds. Is that true?" Sophia smiled. "It is true. And you know what, Emma? Someday, if you work hard and follow your dreams, you could be flying these airplanes too." Emma's mother approached, clearly emotional. "Captain Rodriguez, thank you for taking the time. Emma has been fascinated by airplanes since she was a toddler. Seeing you here today, it means more than you know." As Sophia walked back to her aircraft, she understood the full significance of her achievement. This wasn't just about personal accomplishment. It was about opening doors for the next generation and demonstrating that excellence knows no gender boundaries. The demonstration flight was flawless. Sophia flew in perfect formation with her teammates, executing complex maneuvers that showcased the precision and professionalism of the United States Air Force. As the crowd cheered and cameras captured every moment, she thought about the journey that had brought her to this point. 6 months later, Sophia received an unexpected letter forwarded through official channels. The return address showed McConnell Air Force Base, and she recognized the handwriting immediately. "Captain Rodriguez," the letter began, "I saw your performance on the news and wanted you to know how proud I am of what you've accomplished. You've become exactly what the Air Force needs, a leader who inspires others to reach beyond what they thought possible. Thank you for proving that some people really are meant for extraordinary things. Master Sergeant Blake Morrison, retired." Sophia set the letter down and looked out the window of her Nellis AFB office, where red, white, and blue F-16s sat ready for the next demonstration. Her nameplate on the desk read Captain Sophia Rodriguez, USF Thunderbirds, but the title that mattered most was the one Morrison had finally given her, Leader. From Loadmaster to Thunderbird, from being told to know her place to defining her own place in aviation history, Sophia Rodriguez had proven that determination and excellence could overcome any obstacle. More importantly, she had opened a door that would never close again, inspiring countless others to pursue their own impossible dreams. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.